The risks are much, much higher. And so, as Nigeria becomes a member of this fast developing, cutting edge digital world, how protected are critical
and they are many. Thank you very much. Firstly, according to a research conducted by HP, within every 3.4 seconds, a new malware is being released globally to compromise our cyberspace. And according to the Accenture, by 2025, if care is not taken, the loss through cybercrime in the world could reach up to 5.3 trillion USD. This is by far higher than the entire gross domestic product of Africa as a continent with 1.4 billion people and 54 countries. In Nigeria, whatever we do, we prioritize our cybersecurity. From the 8 pillars I earlier mentioned, pillar number 6, soft infrastructure, is specifically on cybersecurity. Secondly, we have so many initiatives, some of them in collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor. Federal government has developed National Cybersecurity Policy in 2021, which is being implemented. Furthermore, within the ICT sector, to ensure the security and safety of our cyberspace, we have established a minimum of 2 world-class computer security incidents response teams. These 2 teams work 24/7 to identify potential attacks on Nigeria, immediately come up with a strategy on how to protect our cyberspace, and also notify the targeted institutions and advise them on actions to be taken in order to ensure the safety of their systems. We have computer emergency incidents response team for the telecommunication sector, which I commissioned in 2022, which is also being handled by the Nigerian Communications Commission. This project commissioned by Mr. President, which you also displayed on the screen, National Shared Service Center. In that one, under Galaxy Backbone Center, we have established another cybersecurity incidents response team. During the commissioning, His Excellency Mr. President was there. On the screen, immediately, from the time we entered, there were around 1,400 attacks on our cyberspace. Within less than 2 minutes, from the time he entered into the center to the time he left, only 2 minutes, over 1,400. But to be fair with you, none of them was successful. There was none that was successful. So usually we don't escalate what we do. There was a time we were having a meeting of the Federal Executive Council, the virtual meetings we usually conduct. During only one meeting, there was 66 attacks on our platform, but nobody knew. I only briefed Mr. President at that time, and we immediately took action. And most of the attacks came from Europe. All of them are blocked. All of them, 66 within 1 minute, and none of them was successful. And I'm grateful to the Almighty. From the time we commenced the virtual meeting to the time we concluded, end of last year, there wasn't any time where we had security breach. And during each and every meeting, we received a minimum of 50 attacks on our system. But nobody knows. But none of them were successful throughout this period. This is to show you we are not doing bad. If you look at the Global Cybersecurity Index being computed by the International Telecommunication Union, each and every year we are going higher in the global ranking. There wasn't any year in the last 4 years where we dropped. We are only improving, and we will continue to do. And that is part of the reasons why we enforce the national identity number. But there was so much rumor, there was so much intimidation, which we resisted. Today it becomes part of us. National identity, we did not introduce it. The law was approved in 2007, prior to the coming of this administration with 8 years. It was in the law. Section 27 of NTA Act 2007. It was stated that in Nigeria you are not allowed to do enjoy any government services without having your national identity, not allowed to obtain passport without it, not allowed to have driver's license, not allowed to have INEC. It is by law. And Section 28 and 29 clearly mention even the punishment, that it is an offense if you fail to do that, either fine or imprisonment or both of them. But our citizens did not comply. What we did was only to enforce that it is a legal requirement, it is mandatory. And this is part of improving our cyberspace. And it is yielding a positive result. And many countries today are copying us.
So, speaking of the national identity number, just by the side, and that since you brought this up, how would you rate the compliance? Like you said, this administration, all it did was just enforce the provisions of the law.
Yeah.
How would you rate the compliance?
The compliance by the law, I think, is 99%. There is no doubt about this. Firstly, if you look at it, the law was assented to in 2007. And I took over the supervision of National Identity Management Commission in October 2020. 13 years after its establishment. In 13 years, the total enrollment in Nigeria was only 39 million. In 13 years, only 39 million in 13 years. From October 2022 to October 2022, from October 2020 to October 2022, last year, how many years? Only 2 years. From that period, I increased the enrollment from 39 million to over 90 million. We increased more than 52 million in 2 years. While what we inherited, 39 million in how many years? In 13 years. 39 million in 13 years. While we achieved 52 million in only 2 years. And go through the government intervention and budgetary provision in the 13 years. Many people were in prison because of mismanagement of funds at that time. With only that 9 million. We came on board. At the time we increased this enrollment, no single kobo was released to us by government to do that. We only leveraged on the obsolete infrastructure to do that. The only little support we got then was through corporate social responsibility of some telecommunication companies that came on board just to support. So it's really encouraging. And secondly, what is important for citizens to realize, this national identity is not only important for security, it is important for your identification. No any responsible country in the world without its own form of national identity. If you go to the US, they have their social security number. In the UK, they have national insurance number. If you go to China or India, with their population, they have their Aadhaar number. If you go to country like Pakistan, they have Nadra number. So there is no any responsible country without its own form of national identification. And you cannot go there even as a legal resident and work without obtaining it. Secondly, on that point, secondly is the main point. This secondly is under the second point of what I have earlier said. If you look at it again, this national identity is important for any country to have a national database. If you have a national database, budget for education is easier. You will not make assumption. Budget for health is even easier. National planning is easier. But today in Nigeria, nobody can give you specifically the total number of our citizens. Most probably, with our little effort, we are in control of the biggest database in Nigeria. Even I can say even two of them. Because if you look at the total number, SIM database and national identity database are the two most comprehensive database if that exists in Nigeria. And both of them is through our humble effort to ensure that we have a database. So it's beyond security, it's for education, it's for health, it's for national planning, and it's for whatever we do in Nigeria. As a country, we must have it in place. People usually ask questions, people are still committing crime with sin. Right. And I think this is where you want to go.
Yes.
Firstly, what is important for you to know, we are not a security institution. 8 priority areas given to me as a minister. This project I am doing, we are not doing name and SIM because it was given to us to implement. It is only out of our patriotism as Nigerians and knowing that the main responsibility of government, as in our constitution, 1999 as amended, Section 14, subsection 2, Article B, is the security and welfare of our citizens. And knowing that our principal president, Muhammad Buhari, has prioritized security, economic development, and fighting corruption, it is out of this patriotism we started the implementation of NIN and SIM registration, even though it was not a new policy. The policy was initiated 2011 but not implemented. It was brought back in 2017. Because of intimidation, it was put on hold. And when I kickstarted the implementation, there was everywhere intimidation. And I went to President, I informed you. He said, go ahead. I said, with your backing, I will go. I resisted. Many people did not know it was possible. We resisted. With all the intimidation, I couldn't change my position. Money was spent in propaganda war, campaign of calumny against me, but I resisted. And I said I would not change my position. And when the deadline came, we blocked the lines. Why? We are doing this out of patriotism to support security. But it's not our security work, it's not our work. We are a revenue generating agency. Allow me to learn. Okay, this is important. In addition, what we did, we sanitized the database, we introduced this. If a crime is committed, it is neither my responsibility nor that of NCC or NIMC to start tracking the owner of the SIM. It's not our work. That work is with security institution. If one of you is kidnapped, one of your relatives is kidnapped, what you need to do is to reach out to security institutions like police, DSS, and others. Notify them this crime has been committed and this is the number they reach out to us. Both of them could either write to NCC or reach out to NCC immediately or to the operators and ask for the details, either the biodata of that SIM or the location where the call is coming from. In addition, they also have an approval of Mr. President where they can use certain facilities to track even without reaching out to us. So because of this, it is not our work. But what I want to confirm to you, from the time I took over as a minister to date, there is no single day in which a crime has been committed where a SIM card has been used and I was contacted by any security and we failed to provide the information required. It has never happened. No security institution has ever reached out to me asking me to provide biodata of this SIM or to guide them to a location where the call is coming from, and I failed to do that. It has never happened. All the requests that came to us, we have provided the information required. So the issue is not on my table, but where our expertise and intervention is required, we provide it 100%. So if a crime is committed, legally I have no power to start monitoring where the call is. But if security formalizes it, that gives us the justification where we can leverage on our facilities and provide the services to them. Even in our own case, when one of us is affected, we don't go to the network. We only inform the security. When they formalize to us, then that gives us power to get access to the information that is required. But without their request, we don't. And the law clearly stated they must establish prima facie case. If that is established, then if you go to Cybercrime Act 2015, there is a provision for lawful intercept when the prima facie case is established. So establishing prima facie case has nothing to do with us. It is their own work.
It's a very interesting answer. Yes, because this is an issue that we had promised we were going to raise today. But it's a good thing you've done your bit.
Thank you.
And the security agencies should do their bit. Those are the questions we'll be.
Next time, we like you can combine both of us to address them.
All right. At this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, there'll be more on these achievements, particularly in the digital economy and infrastructure. And then you'll also have a chance to be part of the discussion in the studio. We'll get to that in just a moment.
157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Modelaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, all the new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic political arena. I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructure in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Great things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause. Network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. And now we're at that segment where you can join in the conversation in the studio. The numbers will be on your screen. The phone lines will be open in a short while. But we say this every Tuesday. If you're calling in tonight and you do get through, do us a favor. Turn down the volume of your TV set. That's the way to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And we also encourage you to go straight to the point, keep it straight, short and simple, so that others can also get on the platform and air their views. And we encourage you not to worry too much about the greetings. Just a mere hello is enough. Don't bother about how we're doing. We're doing all right in the studio. Just a hello and go on with your question or your comment. At this point in time, we had discussed a matter of provision of infrastructure, especially with the very limited funds. The matter of the PPP came up. Minister, that is also another area where you would like to comment on the public-private partnership. And
thank you very much, Mr. Siri. The question I asked prior to this, I want to maybe comment on it for a few seconds.
Yes.
Part of the new strategies deployed by criminals in Nigeria, when they kidnap someone, they make phone calls with the phone of the kidnap, not the phone of the kidnappers. So when they kidnap someone, they will take away his phone and start contacting his relatives with his phone. However, even in that regard, when our expertise is required, we can provide almost exact location where the phone call is coming from, and that will guide security institutions. Even without knowing the identity of the caller, at least they will know the location where the call is coming from. And that one, whenever we are consulted, we provide the support 100%. At no point in time we have failed to provide that even once. And I'm saying this on record. There is no single letter or contact that has come to me in which we have failed to provide. Secondly, on the issue of public-private partnership.
Okay, Minister, just a moment. We'll come to that. I understand that there's a caller on.
Yeah.
We didn't envisage that we'll get so many calls tonight.
Yeah.
There's Joy calling in from Gumbi. Joy, if you're there, go ahead with a question or comment.
Uncle, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Who's calling, please?
Joel from Gombe.
Okay, Joel, not Joy. Joel. Joel, go ahead. Yes, Joel, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir, and good evening, Prof.
Thank you, Mr. John. How is Gombe?
Gombe is fine.
Oh, glad to hear. Greetings to our people of Gombe.
Anyway, but then, this is, I'm calling, Prof said something earlier about, when crime is committed using a SIM card,
Yeah.
that the commission doesn't have the power to either make it known or to track the call, or if they will track the call but then not able to prosecute that call or that culprit until there is an order or until there is a written order from the security for them to make it, for the commission to make it known. I think if I get what he was trying to say, that was exactly what he was trying to say. If I get it at all.
Yeah, it's similar.
I would have loved that the government empowers the commission to, as soon as they track the call that is criminal in nature, without waiting for the security to make that call known to the public, if we have to, just make it known. So that we have to hold the securities responsible. If they do not prosecute that call, we now say, okay, but the commissions have already made it known to us that so and so number has committed so crime. But the securities have refused to take an action on it. So if you are waiting for the security to give you go ahead to police, then are we going to wait for all of that? While you are still waiting for one, another crime is being committed, and another one before you know. And this is what we have in the country now. Please, I think the government should empower the commission to go ahead both with the monitoring and the prosecution at the same time. Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Mr. Joel. Let me respond to you briefly. Thank you very much for begging the government to empower us to do more, even though I know it's not easy. The reason why government could not do that, it could be abused. There are certain privileges that should only be given to security institutions. Firstly, your telephone conversation, your telephone record, your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, all of them constitutionally, as long as you are innocent, they must be private. If you look at the Constitution of Nigeria, 1990 as amended section 37 and 38, very clear that your conversation on telephone and all others must be private and confidential. In order to enforce that, President Muhammad Buhari recently approved for us the establishment of Nigeria Data Protection Bureau to ensure the compliance with the provision of the Constitution. Secondly, when you allow civilians, like in the Ministry or NCC, to start intercepting, definitely it is going to be abused. That is the major challenge. That privacy could not be there, because if one person can respect the privacy, another one cannot do that. So in order to ensure compliance with the Constitution, the Cyber Crime Act 2015 mentions the issue of lawful intercept. And that one is only when a prima facie case is established. There is a ground for investigation. Then security institution can go ahead to do that. The whole issue, as you are saying, is to save time. From our own angle, whenever we are contacted, we provide the information within a maximum of 60 minutes. That is maximum. If we are contacted, it doesn't take us up to 1 day or two. Sometimes we provide the information within 5 minutes. At the time something is happening, we provide. And there, to be fair, also there are some success stories on that, but we don't disclose it so that we cannot compromise the strategy being used. So many people were rescued, so many criminals were detained, intercepted in Nigeria through the effort of using phone calls. But in real sense, the more you disclose the process and the information, the more criminals will deploy more difficult strategies on how to avoid your own trap. It is because of this we don't usually disclose the success story, and secondly, it is not our mandate, it is that of the security to disclose when it becomes necessary. But there are some examples, if I am permitted, if I mention them there, almost everybody will be happy that this issue is a success story. But the whole issue is not our mandate. We have provided information confidentially, and it remains confidential. Only security institutions have the privilege to either keep it confidential or make it public or present it in a court to justify their own case.
Thank you, Minister. There's another caller on the line, Hussaini from Jos. Go ahead, Hussaini. Hello.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, my question is to Sir.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, like we watch there in US and other things, like there are facilities that are supposed to, through the communication gadgetry, we are supposed to trace a crime online, having all the data or the registered number that the dog is talking about. Then why are we not having that in Nigeria? The issue of this bandit, kidnapping and other things can only be solved through that way. When we have real-time tracking, for instance, a crime is being taken place in a particular place. then I have a brother who is among those people that we are kidnapped. And if I can provide that phone number immediately to a particular digital center or anywhere that they use, immediately they can trace where the location of that people. If they are taking it in the bush moving, they can be able to trace the location. Then the security agent can follow up and know where that location is. What are we doing on that? Because we need something like that, such a database, such a real-time tracking system in this country. As a Minister of Communication and with your intelligence, with your passion in the security under the government that come and promise to protect this, to implement security situation, I think Mr. President should be encouraged so that we have centers like that. And number two, the issue of this law that if a crime is committed, you have the SIM card, you have to go to the police or DSS, get all those information to them, is what is making even your work not moving. That is the truth. And that is what is collapsing all of the effort that the security are making. Why can it be in this way that we have a real time that people can go in with their complaint, call, even place a call with your identity and everything, then you know and begin to track as well. That is what is happening in US. That is what is happening everywhere. Why are we not responding in that aspect?
Okay. Right. Thank you, Husseini. Husseini, we made the point. We got the minister's response to that, which of course is similar to what Joel asked.
I think thank you very much, Mr. Husseini, for asking this. I wish we are empowered by law to do that. Unfortunately, we are not. We only work within the provision of the law. And secondly, as you cited example, communication sector even in the US do not do that. It is the work of the security. There is no country where Ministry of Communication is empowered to go into the security, but our mandate is only to support the security when they ask us for that support, because our mandate is not the same. For example, in Nigeria, we have Cybercrime Act 2015, and all these issues we are discussing are under cybercrime. I hope you are following. All of them are under cybercrime. The entire cybercrime law is not with us, is with the National Security Advisor. My ministry is not even a member of the Cybercrime Council in Nigeria. So if I'm not even a member, how can I go and do the work that I'm not even a member of that council? There is a cybercrime law. It is with the National Security Advisor, and there is a Cybercrime Council. They meet quarterly. Ministry of Communication is not even on the council. Minister is not even a member of the council. No director of the ministry is in the council. Why? Because it's not our work. So how can you ask me to do a work where there is a law? That law is not with me. There is a council. I'm not even a member of the council. Nobody from my ministry is in the council. However, some parastatals are members of the council, but the ministry itself is not even part of it. So if I'm not part of it, so how can I go and do? Today, because I am passionate, I cannot go to the work of CRC. I see RC for example. I can only do the work of communications. Just because I am passionate on agriculture, I cannot take the work of Minister of Agriculture and do it. In government, you only work based on the responsibility that has been given to you. I wish I could be given that. Unfortunately, I don't have. And I can only work within the provision of the law. Now, we have an institution of government that is responsible with managing cybercrime. When a crime is committed, is with National Security Advisor and other institutions under him. Our own work is cyber security. We can play a role. That one is prevention, to make our system more robust, and that is why we introduce NIN and SIM. We play a role in cyber security, that is protection. But when a crime is committed, it is no more with us. It is with security institutions. I am not even a member. My ministry is not even a member on the Cybercrime Council. So with this, government did not even put us as member, and the law was not for today. The law was even assented to since 2015. So because of this, it's not something that is new. If you have any complaint on that, don't channel a source. You either channel it to National Security Advisor, which I believe he will handle it, or to DSS. or to police. All of them have a role to play. If it is international crime, you have NIA, you can reach out to us. But in our own way, to save time, whenever we are consulted, we provide our support there and then. At certain time, it doesn't take 10 minutes. Furthermore, deployment of security gadgets you monitor online, real time, is possible in some cases. Even that one is not our work. It's the work of security. There is a huge gap between communications and security. We only provide the gadgets of communication, but security are the ones responsible of handling crime. We only help in protection, prevention, all this work. But when a crime is committed, we don't have any role to play there, but to support them based on their request, they reach out to us. And I do hope that you understand it very well.
The phone lines are very active tonight, but perhaps because the Minister of Communications is here. We have Awal calling in from Kano. Hello, Awal.
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Awal. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Prof.
Thank you, Bala Awal. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Thank you. Glad to hear from you.
Yes, Prof. You made mention of the achievement you made so far on new enrollment, the numbers that have increased. That's from what have been done from 13 years to the numbers you were able to provide for 2 years. But what I'm trying to understand here is that how do you provide a process where you can prevent someone outside Nigeria, like someone from Niger, Czech Republic and other countries, they are enrolling into our database. That means they are having national identification number for Nigeria. How do you plan to prevent that? Because I can see many people that are not from Nigeria, they are able to go to private centers to do this registration. How are you maybe going to tackle this issue?
All right. Thank you, Awal.
Thank you, Mala Awal. I'm from academia. We don't just accept making an empty statement, my brother, saying that you have seen people, let us have their names. Where are they? At least get one person that you know is not a Nigerian and he obtain this name as a Nigerian. Why did I say as a Nigerian? Because name is not only for Nigerians. Based on the provision of the law, if you look at Section 25, Names Act 2007, legal residents are entitled to it. It is not providing that you are a citizen of this country only. It is only indicating that you live within Nigeria. So because of this, the two categories that are to obtain, number one, citizens of Nigeria, living in Nigeria and in diaspora. Secondly, non-Nigerians who live in Nigeria for a minimum of 180 days. So they are to obtain. So the identity is not only for citizens, but for legal residents. However, in the information we collect, there is a provision where you indicate whether you are Nigerian or you are not Nigerian. That one is in our record. But that name is not an indication that you are just a citizen when you obtain. It is only indicating that you live in Nigeria legally and legitimately. So the provision is clear that this is for citizens and legal residents. If a non-Nigerian comes forward and presents an evidence that he lives in Nigeria legally, he is employed here by a company for 3 years, we give him the number. Why? Because the law says you should give it to a legal resident. What we only need is the justification that he lives in Nigeria legally, not illegally. But in the information, we collect his country, the information we document. If it is passport, we get a copy of it and everything. So many people did not understand that this name is not only for citizens and for legal residents. However, based on the allegation he has made, it's just like indicating maybe a non-Nigerian collecting me as a Nigerian. We don't have one case. We have been hearing this rumor. I investigated 3 complaints. None of them was right. It's only an empty. But Mana Awal, I plead with you. If you have any evidence of a non-Nigerian who has collected me for Nigerians, not for non-Nigerians, do provide the information for me. Even through the number here with Mr. Series provide information, but empty allegation, I think we are beyond that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. That there's still an aspect of that we'll clarify that. Why the confusion about whether foreigners are registering and people have their eyes on particularly people who register who are non-Nigerians and thinking they might use that as an opportunity
For
to vote,
Mr. Siri,
for instance.
I live in the United Kingdom. I am not a citizen of the UK, but I collected their national insurance number and I have it to date. Why? Because the provision is to show that you live in that country legally. Whatever you do is legally. If a Nigerian travels to the US to work there, he will obtain national security number. It is not indicating that he is already a citizen, but only to justify he lives there legally. And this is very important for our citizens to understand.
That's true.
So when I obtain from the UK, I'm not a citizen of the UK, and I still have it. I have national insurance number of the UK.
Okay, that clarifies it. There's another call from Makuli now. Yes. Go ahead. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Yeah, now I heard about what Joe said. Good evening, Professor.
Thank you, Mr. Elcock.
Yes, I heard about Professor. I heard about Howard from Kansas. I said,
Yeah.
I have a challenge of that. I reported on security personnel to be migrate from Cameroon to Nigeria. When I rushed to the immigration, they arrested them. Later on, I see them, the vehicle they took them and they marked them about there. They still fell out to Latvia Road. They now take them to the office there. So I said, why is Nigerian schools are being like, because somebody has reported on cases like this. They have not done anything with them. They are arrested and refused to turn back to them. So I keep on my head and I said, let me just ask about this thing. This is on this line that you say we do is online. That anything will happen, they will track you. They know where about. But up to now, it's not working in Nigeria. Yet I believe that because when some security happens in Nigeria here, when you run to the police or run to the security personnel, they will tell you about that. You have to provide the person. And you say, what happens? Look at the line there. Anything they that switch off, the second person that called, they will provide the person. Why it happen like that? Let me know, Professor. Because for me, I don't understand what is going on in Nigeria. Always I watch this TV here on the Tuesday night. It enlightens me.
I think the question we can summarize it.
Yes, I have a challenge of making it all, but it would seem he's drawing his question and comment from an earlier one, which was put forward by
he made reference to Joel and Anwar.
Yes,
and that aspect.
That has to do again with the aspect of people who he at some point he said something of someone was arrested. Are you still on the line? No, he's not on the line anymore.
The question was not clear.
Okay, it wasn't very clear what I was trying to put forward.
I could respond if you can summarize, if you get it.
Yes, but if you can still make it back online and call, perhaps you can elucidate and let's understand what exactly.
Maybe when we compare Nigeria and Canada, Canada is a developed country, Nigeria is a developing country. Their level is literacy is very high. Our Nigeria still we are struggling to improve. Thirdly, broadband penetration there with their Canada could be the second largest country when it comes to landmass, just second to Russia. But still broadband penetration, the world population is encouraging. Nigeria, we are improving it here, and the improvement is significant, but not yet sufficient. Only now we have issued a license to Starlink of SpaceX, where they will provide satellite broadband for our citizens, which I believe is another milestone that will address that aspect of challenge. In Canada, citizens do have their identification. Today in the world with a population of 8 billion, more than 1 billion people do not have any formal identification. From this 1 billion, more than 500 million people live in Africa without any formal identification, either national ID or passport or driver's license. In Africa today, almost 40% of our population do not have even any formal identification. They only live like this. So this is a major challenge, and our borders are porous. People can move from Cameroon to Nigeria, from Nigeria to Niger, from Niger to Nigeria, from Nigeria to Chad, from Chad. The borders are porous. We have over 10,000 kilometers of border that is open. So these are some of the challenges we are struggling to address. So it's difficult to compare a developed country with a developing country. But if you look at the success story, as a country we are not doing bad. Is there any provision for improvement? Yes, absolutely right. There is. But are we doing that? Definitely we have our success story. We have to appreciate that and build on that success story.
Okay.
Thank you.
Back to the phone lines, we have Mohammed calling in from Maraba. Hello, Mohammed. Mohammed from Maraba. Oh, well, off with that call. Yeah, back here at the studio. Again, we were just about talking of the PPP and how it has helped to provide the much needed infrastructure, especially when we do not have.
The argument presented by my brother, Dr. Emmanuel, from ICRC, I think is very effective. Firstly, you have to appreciate the fact that Nigeria as a country, our economy is a private sector economy, not public sector economy. In 2022, if you look at our national aggregate demand and compare it with federal government revenue, you will discover that government controls less than 8% of our GDP. More than 92% being controlled by the private sector. So the economy is a private sector economy, not public sector economy. If government controls less than 8% and private sector controls more than 92%, which kind of magic could you make to change the lives of our citizens with less than 8% of the GDP? There is no way. What is important for government is to prioritize the private sector by giving attention to it, partnering with it. That is what brought about the private-public partnership, because the economy is being controlled by the private sector. Our GDP on one hand, our government revenue on the other, from the GDP is less than 8%, while the private sector controls 92%. Secondly, if you look at all other countries, this is the model. Today, the entire economy of the world is significantly being controlled by only 4 countries. Number one is the US. They control approximately 25% of world GDP. Because the whole world GDP, according to the International Monetary Fund, is only 101.4 trillion USD. Today, the GDP of the US is more than 25 trillion USD, followed by China is around 19.9 trillion USD. This year, Japan took the 3rd position ahead of Germany with around 4.3 trillion USD, and Germany is around 4.1, within that range. So if you take these 4 countries only, you will discover that they control more than 50% of the global gross domestic product. And all of them, if you check, you will discover their economy is a private sector economy. So the main responsibility of government is to provide the enabling environment and at the same time to partner with the private sector and achieve a lot. This is what makes public-private partnership very effective. Today, for example, many government institutions, buildings are dilapidated. You have no money to renovate them. Through private partnership, you can have an agreement where they can renovate, you generate revenue, you take certain percentage, they take certain percentage. After certain years, it comes back to government.
Right.
Why? Because government doesn't have the money to do it. But through that agreement, we will be able to address the challenges we have at hand. And I think this is very important, and this is why we must benefit from the more than 92% in the public sector, not only less than 8% that is under the control of government.
Right. Well, Dr. Owoni, you know, yes, a lot has been done in particularly road transportation, infrastructure development. But again, as you yourself acknowledged, the deficit is so huge that Nigerians want more. All these efforts may just seem like a drop in the ocean, and we're looking forward to that in 2023. So, what are the outlines and the strategies for this?
Okay, fantastic. Because as we speak, many of our projects are in their final stages. We will see 2023 that will bring in, massive investments coming in. If you look at the aviation sector, following the aviation roadmap, we have the MRO that has been approved by the Executive Council. We have the concession of the 4 airports, which has also reached advanced stages. We have the ALC, which is going for FEC approval. So we have the cargo and metropolis projects, which are in the final stages of procurement. So these are projects that will bring in a lot of investment. As we speak, the Lekki Deep Sea ports that will attract over 170,000 jobs into, in the first quarter of this year, will be flagged up by Mr. President, hopefully before the release of it. So that alone will bring in significant investment and create job opportunities for Nigeria. And then if you look at the investment also coming in, the 700 megawatts Zoro hydro plant that is being worked on as we speak, that will also bring a lot of improvements in the power sector. Of course, in the maritime one also, and of course, the railway modernization plan of the federal government, where they are trying to link the north, the south, and the north together, investments in technologies like I mentioned earlier,
Yes.
for the e-ticketing and all that. So a lot is being done by the ICRC. We're getting a massive approvals, tremendous support from the Federative Council to make sure these projects move as quickly as possible, so that the citizens can begin to benefit from that process. So you are seeing in 2023 that will bring in put these projects on the table and will begin to reap the dividend. The HDMI I mentioned earlier is just a pilot phase, where 9 key routes have been rehabilitated, and the private sector will come in to operate. So we see very soon, we see the coming back of the tolls. The Federal Council has approved the tolling policy, and that is already going to get a lot of traction in the coming months. We see most of the roads from the intro of government.
What about earlier reports? The mention of the AKK, the gas pipeline too. That falls within these categories as well.
Correct. So a lot is also being done through the Nigerian NNPC PLC to attract investments in those areas, and create that enabling system. Government really should be an enabler that will allow the private sector, like Mr. said, to come in and then run the economy for us. And then, of course, we focus on small scale industries and grow the economy as it were. So we're happy to announce that there's good news ahead, and Nigerians are in to benefit from some of these activities. And we as regulators also will continue to do our best to ensure that we have the right policies, the right regulations, and the right guidelines to see these processes successfully come to completion and effective implementation.
Well, Minister, I'd like to return briefly to GITEX 2022 and the fact that we saw a citizen win the first position in the smart cities, and if I also recall, the minister himself was also rewarded with a prize for efforts. Let's get more of that about GITEX. And for those who ask, how beneficial are exhibitions like this to this country and its quest to become the digital hub for Africa?
Firstly, GITEX is Gulf Information Technology Exhibition. It's an acronym of Gulf Information Technology Exhibition, which takes place annually in United Arab Emirates. During GITEX, digital companies come and display their innovations. Countries participate, seeking for foreign direct investment on one hand, and secondly try to present their technologies to other countries that are willing to deploy them. It is an avenue of technology transfer on one hand and knowledge transfer on the other. That is what brings about the event annually. Furthermore, countries are encouraged to attend. You go there with your ICT companies and your young innovators with their startups. These young innovators, most of them are looking for investors to invest in the startup. So we organize selection process where government selects the best, sponsor them for the event, and we attend the event with our legal team. When any investor is willing to invest in any company in Nigeria, if that company is for our young citizens that do not have the capacity to handle the conversation and the legal agreement, government does that on their behalf through the legal team we attend the event with. The success stories are many in real sense. Through attending GITEX, we attracted foreign direct investment. One of our companies that we sponsored the first day of GITEX signed an agreement with an investor willing to invest 3 million USD immediately. This is within the first 1 hour of our arrival. And most of them got many investors that are willing to invest. Secondly, the technology we presented there, many of them are willing to deploy, and they are Nigerian technologies. That is why I mentioned to you that out of 7 unicorns in Africa, 5 originated from Nigeria. There are 54 countries in Africa, but Nigeria originated 5 out of 7. This is to show to us that today we are leading Africa in the digital economy sector. Even recently, SpaceX announced the way we engage them. Nigeria is the first country in Africa to enjoy broadband from SpaceX Starlink of Elon Musk. We are the first in Africa. Today, before I came here, I received a phone call from another African minister contacting me, seeking for guidance on how to bring them to their country, because the quality of service is superb. That will continue to bring the price lower and lower, even though it's lower today. The time I became a minister in 2019, for example, the average price of 1 gigabyte of data was 1,200.
Okay.
Today, it's 350 naira.
I know there is a lot about this matter of the cost of broadband, but I'd just like you to pause a while. We have a caller who's been waiting on the line for quite a while.
So permit him to ask questions.
Kule from Ibadan, thanks for staying on. Kule, go ahead.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Siri.
Yes, Mr. Kule, it's already morning. Wow, you are right, really.
Please, yes, Mr. Kule from Ibadan.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Kule.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Please, I want to ask Minister for Communication.
Thank you.
This question, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any way, sir, whereby your ministry and other security agents can be giving advices into each other? What I'm talking about is if you observe something that can let each of the either your ministry or the security agent to improve in each ministry's activities, is there any way you people need to come together and bring suggestion from what you have, especially in the security matters? Because I experienced one thing during the burial ceremony of former Queen Elizabeth of England, whereby the state where the mama died, that is Balmora.
Yeah.
So they carry the corpse from the Balmora to London. That journey was it's like Ibadan to Warri or Abuja to Warri, 6 hours journey. What I saw that day was that I discovered that there was no any unnecessary bushing along the road, both right and left. So with that experience, I now discovered that how is it going to possible for someone to kidnap somebody and take that person to the bush, whereby there was no any bushing. Somebody make 6 hours journey and there was no any bushing by the roadside, both right and the left, sir. So please, can you people, both the security agent and your office, is there any way you people coming together and advise each other and suggest, in terms of in the area we have something, you people will have lesser effort or lesser problem. So that's what I'm saying, sir. That is my contribution, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kunne. Firstly, we have a form of collaboration. That is what brought about the Federal Executive Council being chaired by His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, and today is President Muhammadu Buhari. In the Federal Executive Council, I am a member. Minister of Defense is a member. Minister of Interior is a member. Minister of Police Affairs is a member. All ministers are members. Some security institutions that are not even members, in order to bring this cohesion and relationship, they are allowed to always be part and parcel of the Federal Executive Council. And President allows even non-members to contribute if their contribution is required, or their expertise is relevant, or the mandate of the institution is relevant. So I think this is the highest policy-making body in Nigeria, and we sit every Wednesday as part of the constitutional requirement. So I think this is where the collaboration is supposed to be established. At a lower level, we could have a form of relationship. Usually, when we introduce any technology or we establish any center that is important to security institutions, we write a letter to them to notify them. This is what we have deployed on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria. These are the functions of this center, of this facility. If you need it, we are willing to provide to you anytime. Even at the time we introduced the name, when we reintroduced the name and SIM registration, I wrote a letter to all the security institutions notifying them of the initiatives and how they can leverage on that and handle the challenges being confronted by our country, Nigeria. Furthermore, I agree with your argument, no bush there. So no way somebody will be kidnapped. That is why usually our landmass in Nigeria is supposed to be a blessing because of agriculture. But today is becoming a problem to us. You will discover that there is more security challenges of kidnapping, banditry, among others, in states where they have a very big landmass. The landmass of the UK is nothing to write home about. In Nigeria today, our landmass is 920,000 square kilometers, almost 1 million. Only 80,000 less than 1 million. The largest state in Nigeria is Niger State, with the landmass of around 96,000, followed by Borno State, which is around 71,000 square kilometers. The third one is Taraba. The fourth one is Kaduna. The fifth one is Bauchi, and the sixth one is Yobe. If you look at the landmass of these 6 states, the entire country, like the Netherlands, the second largest exporter of agri-produce, is less than even 42,000 square kilometers. So 6 states are even bigger than the Netherlands, and they are the second largest exporter. Because of digital technology, you don't even need a very big land to do farming. There is vertical farming and there is soil-less farming. You can do farming without soil today. They call it soil-less farming. So our landmass is supposed to be an advantage, but today it becomes the hideout of criminals. And that is why the smaller states are mostly more peaceful. And the larger states in terms of landmass, you will discover they are more problematic. The 2 smallest states in the north today, arguably they are among the most peaceful in Nigeria. The smallest state in the north is Gombe, which is around 20,000 square kilometers, followed by Kano. With the population of Kano, Kano is the second smallest in the north, with just around 21,000 square kilometers. But still Gombe, the smallest in the north, is 5 times the size of Lagos State. 5 times. So you see, nowhere you can kidnap somebody in Lagos and move to a close-by bush. Why? Because the land has been utilized. No any abandoned bush where criminals will go and hide. So I strongly agree with you, and I have been saying that in the area we identify how to utilize and unbundle our bushes, the better for us as a country. Otherwise, criminals will continue to invade and make life difficult for our peaceful and innocent citizens.
Well, Minister, we're fast running out of time, and there are 1 or 2 issues which we must take, because you were just rounding off on the question of how much broadband costs, and I made a mention there that is something that a lot of Nigerians would like to hear, because people still believe that it's still very expensive, even though you have consistently said that it's not that expensive. So we'll let you conclude on that.
Mr. C. Soba, just believing in something doesn't make it a reality. Visually, our smartphones today do have so many applications. These applications, when we open them, we don't go back and close them. They consume a lot of data. Even recently, there was a plan to introduce increased price of broadband. Provisional approval was given by the manager of NCC, and it was reversed. Why? Because even though we know there is a justification of increasing because of the cost of oil, our telecommunication sectors, our operators manage around 32,800 generators every day. 32,800. So we are being affected by the price of oil and the difficulty of obtaining it. We are being affected by forex still. But we maintain the price. This is the only sector in Nigeria that the price of its product and service is not increasing. From 2019 to date, there wasn't any date where we increased price. It's the only sector. You know what you pay for transportation, even by road. You know what you have been paying when you travel by air. You know the price of food commodities you buy, even though there is government subsidy in agriculture, which is huge. But still in our sector, no any financial subsidy by government, but the price is coming lower and lower. And there's, to be fair with you, there is no any justification. Why? It is only because the consumption and the applications people open without utilizing are consuming a lot of data. It's just like you have power, you have this automatic meter at home, you buy your units, you install, and you allow all our facilities to be on day and night. Your television is always on, your fridge is always on, facilities in kitchen are always on. You will discover the consumption is higher. So it is the same with this. Any application that is not important, close it. Anything that is not important, but as long as you leave your phone on by your bedside and applications are often, that consumption of data will continue to go on and on, because there are applications that they receive messages even while you sleep. So this is the challenge. I have phone and I buy broadband like any other person in Nigeria. Nobody is giving me broadband for free on my phone. I buy it and I'm always monitoring.
That's the minister's purchase, which is different from sales.
I think it's very important to conduct a research about the salary and allowances of ministers. Please do that. We don't want anybody to hear from us. The way you have been doing for National Assembly, do it for ministers. How much are they being paid? What are their allowances, so that citizens will know very well, and I believe that will reduce some burden on us. We don't want to disclose so that we will not behave like we are ungrateful. It is a privilege to serve your country, and we are grateful to His Excellency Mr. President for giving us the privilege to serve. We are very appreciative. But do another program on the minister's package for citizens to know very well, please.
Yeah, but finally, just the matter of 5G, which of course Nigeria has joined the league of countries that have deployed 5G. This came at a time when there were so many controversies about the safety and otherwise of 5G, and we recall that even at the start of the COVID pandemic, there were some who were alluding that it had to do with 4G, and then 5G was coming in,
and 6G now is in the pipeline.
Right.
The technology is crazy. Thank you. Firstly, give me just a minute to explain some of the initiatives of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, particularly in the last few years. Ongoing part of digital economy infrastructure, we have an ongoing NICTIP 2 project by the federal government. NICTIP is an acronym of National Information and Communication Technology Infrastructure Backbone 2. NICTIP 1 has been completed by the federal government. NICTIP 2 is ongoing, which is covering around 18 states. When that project is done, each and every state will have fiber optics provided by the federal government of Nigeria. If you combine NICTIP 1 and NICTIP 2, we have covered a minimum of 75 to 80% of our country today with 5G of the federal government of Nigeria. This is part of an intervention of government where states and other institutions can leverage on this fiber optics and get unlimited internet all over the country. This is indeed very commendable and is part of the implementation of this Indian government. Secondly, as part of infrastructure before 5G, by 2019 August, 4G stations in Nigeria were 13,823. Today, as at November 2022, we increased it to 36,751 from 13,000 in 2019 to 36,000 in 2022. We increased 4G penetration from 23% in 2019 to 77% in 2022. By December, we increased it from 23% only to 77.15%. So this is to show to you that this administration is also doing well. In addition to the recent unlimited broadband for universities, first one, 18 higher institutions are going to benefit from unlimited broadband, and 20 markets are going to benefit from it in Nigeria, and the project is ongoing. In addition to establishing ICT training centers in secondary schools, higher institutions of learning, and other relevant institutions, from 2019 to date, we have established over 2,620 projects in Nigeria from start to finish, and all of them are intervention of the federal government of Nigeria. This is what brought me to the 5G. 5G has been approved in October 2021 by the federal government, was yet to be deployed. We did so, the approval, after conducting a research to ensure its safety. Okay. Two institutions have confirmed its safety. Number one is WHO, which is an arm of the United Nations handling health-related matters. Number two, International Telecommunication Union, another arm of the United Nations. Both of them have confirmed the safety of 5G. There is no huge gap between 4G and 5G when it comes to the implication of its radiation, because the radiation is not harmful. The radiation from your television and from your microwave at home is much, much higher than that of 5G, and is even more harmful than that of 5G, that of television and radio station. And in fact, if it is about harm, the 4G radiation is even more harmful than that of the 5G. So that one is just about conspiracy theory, and that theory has disappeared.
Okay.
Many people are using 5G in Abuja, Vegas, and other states, and everybody is complaining.
I wish we could continue with this conversation, Minister, but I will say that
we are coming up with 6G, so we will come up so that they can really match with another conspiracy theory. As government, we must listen and engage them. This is what we did in 5G. I had to put it on hold and convince them. With time, all the issues have been healed.
Unfortunately, we can go on, and as I always say, no one program takes care of it all. There are so many other issues which we would like to take up with the Minister, and we do hope that you'll come again to one of our programs so we can talk about it, and particularly the increasing access in the rural areas, which is one of the things mentioned in one of our reports here. But for now, we have to thank you for
one of your fans, Mr. Cyril Stromer.
All right, thank you.
For many years.
I do appreciate that. So we'd like to say a very big thank you to Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy. Thank you so much for being on this program.
It is my pleasure.
All right. And big thank you also to Dr. Emmanuel, the Director of Transport Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for being part of our program today. That's it. Next week we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stover. Continue to stay safe.